Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Now today we're going to be looking at the new track by Alien Weaponry. This was released on Friday 17th, but I covered another track that was released that same day, so this one had to be delayed until the next day. Now Alien Weaponry, I've covered them I think twice before. I did Kaitangata about 2 years ago, which was an absolutely amazing piece of music, and I know I've checked out another one of theirs. The name escapes me at this moment, but at the time I'm recording this, they just released this track 3 hours ago, or released a video for this track called Hatupatu. Now I have no lyrics available for this track, so we're just simply going to be listening to the track. And as with most of their music, it's probably going to be in Te Reo Maori anyway. So chances of getting a translated version of the lyrics at this point would be near impossible, I imagine. Now this comes off the new album, Tangaroa, which is actually released now, or it was released on Friday the 17th as well. So yeah, there was a lot of music coming out today because the new Carcass album came out as well, along with the new Zornheim track, new Alien Weaponry, and I know there were several other tracks that came out today as well. So this track had to... I only discovered this track after I'd already done a video, so that's why it's coming out the day after. So yeah, I'm just waffling. So we're going to look at this track, Hatupatu, and see what we get. Like I said, I've got no lyrics, I've got no translation, so we're simply just going to be checking out the track. I've enjoyed their music previously. I loved their first album. I've listened to it many times, so I'm probably going to go and get my hands on Tangaroa after I've listened to this track anyway. So yeah, let's jump into this track and have a look. So Hatupatu by Alien Weaponry. Well, there we go. That was Hatupatu by Alien Weaponry. And I wasn't sure what Hatupatu was. Tried looking it up, but didn't come up with anything. But it says right at the end there, for our ancestor Hatupatu. So obviously something very meaningful to them. But then that's what their music has always been about. They've always displayed great pride in their heritage, you know, in the whole Maori culture thing. You know, that was one of the main focuses of their music, which is why they insist on performing in the Te Reo, I'm pretty sure that's what it was, the Te Reo dialect, which, if I remember correctly, was actually quite a rare dialect. You know, and that's something that I really admire about them, is the fact that they are so proud of their roots and where they come from, you know, and that they want to sort of preserve it and, you know, perform all of their tracks with that in mind. You know, it's something really to be admired. And again, that sort of thing comes across in the music as well. I mean, that track had such a tribal feel of it, you know. There were elements where there was no guitars at all and it was just drums, you know, and there was that really awesome sounding tribal drumming going on in the background, whilst there was the sort of chanting vocal in the background. And, you know, the actual music itself was really, really heavy, which is really quite hard to do with just a three-piece band. You know, to get that sort of density and complexity within the music with just like one guitar, bass, guitar, and drums, you know, it's really quite hard to get that brutal, thick brutal sound. You know, it's really something very, very impressive. And I really, really like that track. I do wish I had lyrics or a translation or something, some idea what the exactly the song was about. I mean, there was a bit of text at the beginning. It was speaking about this sort of bird-like spirit or god or something like that, which was visible throughout this track and seemed to be hunting. I'm assuming the main character in that video, the human person within that video, I'm assuming that was supposed to be Hatupatu and being pursued by this. Well, I would describe it as a raven god or raven spirit sort of thing, because it was a big black bird. That's the closest I can come to it. So obviously the song is about him combating this bird spirit god type thing. Guessing that's what the whole story of the song was about, because, well, that's what it showed in the video. But I do wish I actually had a translation and some sort of clearer idea as to exactly what it was about. But it was a great piece of music. Again, you know, I mean, they're only young as well, you know, and to be performing like this insanely good music in this rare dialect, and for people really to sort of respond to it, you know, it's really very, very impressive. They are an impressive band. And, you know, I love what they're doing, because they're just fantastic. And, you know, they're mixing up the vocal styles as well, which, again, I've mentioned before, is something that I really, really enjoy. And in this track, all three of the band members seem to be taking part in the vocals as well. Whereas I think in Kai Tangata, there was only the guitarist who was singing. The other track, which the name still escapes me, it was something really complicated in Maori, so I've got no chance of remembering what it was. I think maybe the other band members were singing in that one. I can't remember for certain, but you know, I've listened to their original album several times. I wasn't actually aware that the new album Tangaroa was out today. I knew they had a new album coming out. I didn't realise it was today. But, you know, there's a lot of music that I'm trying to keep an eye on at the moment, and, well, you know, occasionally you lose track of some. But, yeah, the new album Tangaroa was out today, or September 17th. This is going to be going out on the 18th, because I already released a video on the 17th. So, yeah, I'll put a link to where you can get the new album down below, as I usually try to do if a new album is connected to a video. But I don't know what I can really say about that, you know, except the track was fantastic. I just do wish I had a bit of an idea as to what the main story behind that song was. But yeah, I'm going to leave that as it is. And now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you could even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would, of course, be a massive help to me, as every video I upload immediately gets demonetized the moment that it goes live, which is a bit frustrating, but, you know, it is what it is. There is an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue if you should so desire it. There's a limit on how frequently you can do that, but that's just to be fair to people who make suggestions through more regular means, such as Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram comments. And if you do make a suggestion through YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, do know it could take me a while to get around to your suggestion, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day. And you know, I've also recently taken about 3-4 weeks off from doing videos, so I've got a bit of a backlog as well. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so I should get around to it eventually, but it might take me a while to get to it, unfortunately. Also, MetalHead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose goal is to put an end to hate crimes. And one of the main elements of that is hate crimes against people of the alternative culture, and that's something that I believe in very, very strongly, because it's something that gets very widely overlooked. People just ignore it. You know, every single day we hear about all these other crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, ableism, etc. We hear about these crimes on a daily basis, From the most heinous and violent of these crimes, where someone is brutally murdered because of their religious beliefs, because of the colour of their skin, because of their sexual identity, what have you, down to the most petty and pathetic of these crimes, where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public space. You know, we hear these on a daily basis on every media platform you can possibly imagine. But when it comes to people from the alternative community getting violently and brutally assaulted, nothing is ever said. Nothing gets mentioned. You know, not even a footnote on the news. You know, the last time there was anything said about a violent attack on somebody from the alternative community was 14 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently and brutally assaulted by a group of about 5-6 people who violently beat them, punched them, kicked them, knocked them to the ground, and stamped on their heads so violently that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he thankfully survived the attack. He was in a coma for around about a week and a half, maybe a little bit longer. I don't remember exactly how long, but he thankfully survived. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, she was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and was beaten to death just purely for the fact that she liked to listen to alternative music and wear alternative fashion. Now, when this happened, this was all over the news, as rightfully it should have been. And, you know, over time, other news stories came in and sort of faded into the background, which is fair enough. But in the 14 years since that's happened, we haven't heard anything similar, despite the fact that there have been several hundred, if not several thousand, similar instances of attacks of the people from the alternative community in that time. Nothing has been said. And the main differentiation here is the fact that no one's died. And that's just sickening. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to lose their life before this sort of thing gets spoken about. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before something gets done. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to put a stop to this before it goes that far again. They don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks. Only a couple of years ago, there was a young woman in Glasgow, Scotland, who was running a charity gig. And at some point during the evening, she had to go back to her home for whatever reason, which was a 5-minute walk away from the venue. In the time between leaving the venue and getting to her home, she was attacked twice, again, by a group of 5 or 6 people who beat her, kicked her, punched her, and knocked her to the ground, and brutally beat her more. Twice this happened on the same night within a matter of minutes of each other. This wasn't in the news. This wasn't in the newspapers. This wasn't all over social media. Nothing was said. You know, and again, this is a young woman in her 20s, early 20s. I think she was 21. And she was violently and brutally assaulted by a group of 5 or 6 people twice on the same night, and nothing got said. Now, if this had been religiously motivated, if this had been racially motivated, if this had been homophobically motivated, this would have been all over the news for days. We wouldn't have heard any end of it for days. But no, this is someone from the alternative community getting brutally and violently attacked. Nothing. But the sad thing is, if she had died as a result of this attack, then it would have been all over the news. And that is just disgusting. You can guarantee if she had died as a result of the attacks, people would have been crying out, oh, how awful it was, how terrible it is, how can this sort of thing happen this day and age, how can people be so cruel? But that's the thing. They have to wait for someone to die before they actually give a shit. And that is unacceptable. Something needs to change, and this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to bring more attention to the fact that this is going on, that it's a very real problem, you know. Because if we carry on ignoring it, it's only a matter of time before what happened to Sophie Lancaster happens again. And we quite simply cannot allow that to happen. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their overall goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be a small donation through their website or even something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands, maybe even this one, you know, they've got a whole bunch of other really cool stuff over there as well, you know, but the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we make people more aware of what a big, real problem this is, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.